For those meeting you for the first time, who is Lino Diaz and what do you do?
Well, who am I? I mean, I guess I'm a kid born in Miami that grew up. Like, how would I say kid? I'm a 38-year kid,
A
right?
grown kid.
Born in Miami here in South Miami
Right.
Hospital. I haven't really left Miami and lived anywhere else. I've vacationed other places and I always come back. So I think of myself as like a tried and true Miamian.
Mm.
I love this city. I love the diversity. I love the food, as you can tell. But most of all, what I like is the social aspect,
Mm.
the excitement that surrounds the city, and that makes me feel like I'm a Miamian. Besides that, I'm very much into a lot of other things that I like to do, like golf and bluegrass concerts.
Okay.
And obviously I'm in real estate, right?
Right.
That's probably what most people know me for. I've been in the business for 16 years, so that defines me on a career aspect. But
Right.
all the other fun stuff that I do, I think defines me as a person.
Of course.
Yeah.
How did you get started in real estate though?
Funny thing, I went to college, right, after a 4-year hiatus after high school. And I feel like I thought I was making a lot of money at 18,
Mhm.
19, making 60,000 a year,
Right.
which at that age is pretty
That's still a
good.
lot for 18.
Pretty good. I was in sales, right? And I've always been in sales. And I feel like that is a place where you can really catapult yourself financially. But ultimately, I went back to school,
Mm.
right? 4 years later. And when I graduated, I went to a Fortune 500 company. We were recruiting
Mm.
IT professionals at Tech Systems, great company for people coming straight out of college. They really look for people that played sports at some point in their career, team sports,
Mm.
and they recruit on that basis. And after that, I was just like, I don't love the corporate world.
Mm.
I like being a salesperson. I've always been a salesperson
At heart.
at heart,
Yeah.
right? And my mom's been a realtor since before I was born. So you can say since the days of playing with lock boxes and pointing out for sale by owners
Wow.
that I was kind of destined to
Right.
end up here.
You were exposed since you were a
Yeah.
child.
But like a stubborn child, I didn't want to be following so much in my mom's
Right.
footsteps or anybody's footsteps. I wanted
Right.
to build my own path.
Mm.
And even despite that, despite all of those wants for myself, I think the universe had a better plan or a bigger plan or
Right.
God had a better plan for me. And it pushed me into real estate. And, working with my mom has its challenges,
Right.
family,
Family
and working with
business.
family in general.
Yeah.
But I think that it's so rewarding because I get to see my mother be happy
Right.
or proud
Right.
on any given day. If I do something special for an agent or for the business, I get to see that in real time, which is extremely rewarding for me, as a son. And I don't know, I kind of have fallen out of that. Oh, I don't want to work with family anymore. And I've
Mm.
fallen into, man, what a blessing is it to
Right.
work with family, you know?
Let me ask you, when you have those, obviously you're gonna have those challenge, conversations.
Yeah.
How do you maneuver through that?
Um, it's tough because we're both very strong personalities. Just like my mom has a very strong personality. She's an extremely talented and successful woman. And you don't get to that level without some sort of, push
Mm-hmm. Correct.
from yourself. It's
Correct.
self-determination that she has. So we're both very self-determined. And if I want something and she wants something different, there's going to be, that little bit of conversation, but there is a conversation. And by being
Love.
family, we understand each other's personalities, we understand each other's faults, and we can have a better conversation. And I feel like we hash it out quickly.
Mm.
We don't let the emotions get the best of us.
Mm.
Maybe in the very short term, where we get a little emotional, we get a little heated in the
Right.
debate, but it never carries over past any of that because at the end of the day, it's my mom. I got to
Correct.
respect her, in a specific way. And she's a loving mother. So she
Mm.
doesn't go too hard on me,
Right,
luckily
right.
for me.
There's like a little bit of a wiggle room.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
for me especially because, she's a tough cookie.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I met entrepreneurs, people that have a family business, and
Yeah.
you always hear both stories. Some of them are good, some of them end bad.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear those type of stories, how people maneuver through family business and so on. So
Yeah, I
that's
would
a
say
good
like family, it's funny because I have family members that would never be in real estate.
right,
I don't think my sister would ever be in this business, even though she's highly intelligent and
correct,
very accomplished in her industry. It just would have never made sense.
right,
She's not really in sales in that respect. But she still fundraised tremendously for her company, right?
right,
And that where she works. So, family aspect, I love it. Some people are going to work well together,
yeah.
but I think ultimately it depends on what kind of person are you? Are you a
Your
salesperson?
personality,
Are you?
chemistry,
Yeah.
complement each other.
Can you complement one another? Are you administrative and maybe they're more salesy? Are they more administrative or you're more administrative and they're more management? How does that dynamic work? Can you put people in the right positions? And I think ultimately, if you can delegate from a
Mhm.
leadership perspective, you can
Correct.
have success. Yeah.
Okay, that's great to hear, man. When did you realize real estate could become a serious career for you?
That is a great question. I want to say, I don't want to put a monetary figure on it. I want to say when people started recognizing me as a realtor or as a broker
Mm,
on social media, between friends, business colleagues, people call me to ask me questions about the industry. So when I'm getting those calls, that's where I felt like I'm in my place. Like
mm,
people are leaning on me for information. They're leaning on me for questions about a contract, questions about, what comes next in the business. What should I be doing? And that tells me that I'm at least showing them that I can point them in the right direction. And
correct.
so I have to be in the right place, right? I feel that gave me that feeling. So, and I think that just the way that I function is where I want people to find success. So
Mm,
if I can help them get there, I am feeling better about that than finding my own success.
correct.
And I have 220 great people across
How many?
220
I'm counting.
and counting, right? So across two offices.
Right.
And what we want to instill in them is for them to find more success. And by that, I think I'm making a bigger impact than if I amplified my business 10x
Correct.
when I could do it 220x, yeah,
Hmm.
or 440x if they just double their business,
Right.
right? So I think it's just, I feel like that's what made me feel like I'm in the right place.
What age was that, more or less?
When I got into the broker side of things, which would have been about 10 years ago,
Okay.
so I was 28 at that
Okay.
time. So getting towards the 30s, I had someone, just to switch to Spanish here briefly, but I had
Yeah.
someone in this office. I won't mention any names, but they said, "Oh, you're getting to the tas." And I'm like, "The tas? What is that?"
Yeah.
30, 40,
Uh,
50.
is
And
he Cuban?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to mention because I don't
Right.
want to
Right. Right.
narrow it down.
Right.
But I do think that was a funny quote that stuck with me. So
Yeah.
I'm now getting closer to the 40
Oh.
and 10 years later. And, reflecting back on that time, it was a great time to get into this business,
Mhm.
get into the management side of things. 10 years ago was 2016.
Yep.
So the market was a little bit in a lull, kind of still pushing and moving.
Right.
5 years prior to pandemic,
Of course.
crazy times, right after 6 years after, well, 7 or 8 years after the 2008 boom and bust,
Mm-hmm.
right? So lots of crazy kind of swings in the market where we had to adapt tremendously. And I love that aspect because change is inevitable.
Change is good, actually.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you can count on for the most part.
I always believe like when your back is against the wall, that's where you're able to grow. Because you're
Yeah,
thinking outside the box. Now, how can I survive this, right? So you're
of
thinking outside the
course.
box, you're creative, and something sparks. An
Yeah.
idea sparks, a connection happens because you're
Yeah.
more proactive more than usual because you have to survive. So what do most people get wrong about real estate in Miami?
What do most people get wrong about real estate in Miami? I could say a couple things. I could say that you know, well, the thing that cheap people chase the most in real estate, which I think is incorrect
Mhm.
in Miami, is the hype.
Mm.
And I feel like you can see that everywhere in
Right.
Miami. They chase the hype with the new
The trend.
restaurants, yeah, the trendy
Yeah.
stuff, and sometimes the new restaurants are great.
The shiny thing.
Yeah, it's a bright, shiny thing, and
Right.
sometimes it's not that great.
Right.
So I think that when people are and we're talking about investing in real
Correct.
estate, so if they're investing in real estate, very recently, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, I should get into these Airbnbs."
Mm.
uh, you know, you have to be very calculated in the way that you analyze Airbnbs. And I have a good friend from high school that's doing a fantastic job
Right.
on short-term rentals, Greg Wood, and he's done a great job. But not everybody's taking the time to really analyze these properties. And they're just saying, well, I can get into this short-term rental. I'll be excited. And they go and they buy. And then it doesn't really work out that way because they didn't do the right things.
Mhm.
And now all of a sudden they're like, well, I'm going to just lease it for a year.
Right.
Or now I got to sell it for a loss of 10, 20,
Right.
$30,000, right? And I've seen that quite often. I think that people make a mistake and or get it wrong about how much money they need to close
Right.
in today's market. I think that's another one. We have a lot of opportunity with grants and
Mhm.
seller concessions and all sorts of other avenues that you can buy a home with very little out of pocket. So that's another one I believe that also falls into that.
What's the biggest mistake people make when buying or investing in real estate?
Not doing their research, not preparing for the additional expenses they
Mhm.
don't think about, and um, I would say what's another mistake they make? Um, well, a lot of people think that they can go into something like flipping,
Right.
for example, with no knowledge and just money and
And just flip
capital,
it and just
and I'm gonna make money,
pray and hope.
and maybe you're in the right location,
Right.
but you don't have a good general contractor partner,
Mm.
or maybe you're the general contractor and the person finding these properties is not finding the best potential flips for
Right.
you. And flipping is tough in an up market with
Right.
high interest rates, right?
Right.
So you definitely have to be granule, right? You have to
Right.
get down to the to every little detail on these properties and make sure that you're not getting in over your head. I think that um, one of the biggest mistakes, like you mentioned here as a question, is the lack of research. So let's say even when you go to home buyers that are buying for themselves to live in it, they don't get informed a lot of times that their
Mhm.
taxes are going to go up the next year.
Right.
Like you qualified for this, but will this be tough for you to pay?
Mhm.
Right? And I think that that's so important for realtors to relay. So that's another thing, that's more on the realtors in my opinion and the industry itself. Because if your client doesn't know that, that's a problem,
Mm.
right? And things of that sort. Like all of a sudden your escrow now for your loan, you have to
Right.
put more money in that escrow to pay for
Right.
those taxes. Oh,
Right.
my insurance went up. Same thing, right?
Right.
Insurance went up like 40%
Right.
in 3 years,
Uh-huh.
very recently. So now it's leveling off and things are kind of calming down.
Yeah.
But it was a tough grind, if you will, for people that bought in, let's say, 2023
Right.
at a higher interest rate.
Right.
Their taxes went up, their insurance went up, and all of a sudden they might be in a default situation, and really they could have prepared for this,
Mm.
unfortunately.
So what's a lesson you have learned from a deal you'll never forget?
So I have a good one for this. I had a wonderful couple, Lex and Fernanda. I went to middle school with Fernanda, actually.
Wow, middle school.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's an incredible person, and her husband's just a great guy. Got to meet him and reconnect with her, I guess, in that sense, because I hadn't seen her since middle school. We just,
Okay.
social media keeps everybody kind
That's
of
true.
tied together in some way. So when we went out to show them property, we found the house they wanted, right? And the lesson in this is I made an offer that was a good offer. It's not a bad offer. It got accepted over an offer that was $10,000 higher.
Mm.
The listing agent called me specifically and said, "Hey, I recognize your name from a transaction we did together
Wow.
2.5 years ago. I'm like, "Yes, of course. I remember that was so and so at this rental. It was in North Bay Village,
Right.
and she was like, "You worked really well. I really appreciated the way you worked. I'm gonna push my clients to accept your guys' offer because I know you're gonna close and I know you're gonna do the full job."
Okay.
So
That's what's up.
that alone, that was a big one for me because I
Right.
was like, man, like it was a feel good moment,
Of
of
course.
course,
Yeah.
but it felt even better because I got my clients the property
Mm.
that they wanted at a price that other people were willing to pay more.
Wow.
So, they got a good value. They were happy. And I was happy ultimately because, I felt like we were able to accomplish that because of good work I've done in the past.
Your work speaks for yourself and having connections.
The people you know.
The people you know is no something is about who you know too.
It's about who you know. And it's also how you made them feel.
Exactly.
It's not just, because
Experience.
yeah, because you can know everybody, but you made them all feel bad.
Yeah,
No one's
and
gonna call you ever again,
have a
right?
bad reputation.
That's yeah,
So it's very
exactly.
important about the experience. So that's something that I do in my business as well. Is
Yeah, so
make
that
sure.
taught me a lot.
So what separates successful agents from everyone else?
What separates them? I would say professionalism. I would say having an always learning mentality, I think is important. We've had a lot of adaptation in the last several years. The unfortunate collapse of the Champlain Towers, which caused widespread changes in condos, right? So we've had that. We've had the buyer brokerage agreement changes in August of 2024. We've had several local and state law changes as well surrounding several different aspects of the business. So, always having that ability to adapt and learn is so important. And I think that that makes the biggest difference between a successful agent and one that isn't finding
Right.
success. Another, another reason I think is because of consistency.
Mm,
Some people will one off it. They're going to work hard that one day.
yeah.
They're going to send out a bunch of postcards one time.
Right.
They're going to host one open house.
Right.
They're going to make one phone call today.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, do you want to buy or sell real estate? No. Okay, that's it. I give up today.
Right.
Right? So those people, they're going to have a tough time.
Right.
The ones that see a no as one step closer to a yes,
Exactly.
those are the ones that are going to find success. So the consistency and that ability to look past rejection
Right.
and continue forward because you have a goal in mind. And ultimately, if you can keep going, you're going to keep
Yeah.
going. And I think that that
Yeah.
helps you find success.
100%. And especially when you're in sales, right?
When you're in sales,
You
man, it's
gotta
going to
learn.
happen.
You gotta learn to say no. You gotta learn to hear those no's because it's gonna happen more often than not. But
Yes.
you only need one yes.
And I'll tell you, man, I've been in sales. Like the first place I sold anything, I was selling shoes in Foot Locker at Dayland Mall here, not too far. Like I said, I'm a Miami kid. So I was selling shoes. I was 15, 16 years old. I had someone literally throw shoes at me.
Of
That doesn't feel nice. I
course
don't
not.
think, right? I said, like, as a man, threw shoes at me, get me this size, right?
Wow.
So your ability to also kind of gauge how you should react
Right.
to disrespect
Right.
maybe or even certain actions or inactions um also makes a difference.
Hmm.
So in those moments all I cared about was making money.
Right.
So you can say and do, you can get act crazy.
Yeah.
I was 16. I
Wow.
could have been a wild rambunctious kid and
Uh huh.
got into an argument, but I wanted to get paid.
Right.
I had a very minimal paycheck on an hourly basis, but they
Right.
gave us little stipends and
Yeah.
little commissions for their
Right.
shoes and socks. And so, hey, I'm throwing some stickers on the sock and I'm going to sell you the socks on top of those shoes. That's going to be my win. You're going to be throwing shoes at me. All right, I'm going to throw some socks in that bag. I'm going to throw a little bit
Did
extra in that bag and make some more money off of you.
did that person ended up getting the shoe?
Yes, they did.
So like,
Shoes.
he
Yeah.
ended up winning that.
I think I sold one guy like 13 pairs of socks one time, or
Wow.
13 bags of socks. And that was like our mission that month was to sell the most amount of socks. So,
That's interesting. I didn't know they Foot Locker does that for
well,
like
I don't
socks.
know if they still do. This was 22 years ago.
Right.
So quite a while ago.
Okay. How important has networking has been to your success?
Massive. Networking, I think it's not only big for real estate, it's big for life.
Right.
I was very blessed to go to my mom put me in Christopher Columbus High School,
Mm,
right? So I graduated high school with a network of people that have become my dentist, Javi Coutinho, same graduating year. The people I'd call when I need any medical advice, like Dr. Daniel Orta
mm.
or Gus Diaz, who was an emergency nurse, right? And there's a lot of folks around, and I'm not talking just medical and
Right,
dental,
right.
right? I can go into all aspects. Some of my colleagues in the industry, Daniel Golick graduated a year after me. He's over here at another real estate brokerage. Several of the real estate agents in this office graduated from the same high school. So that's
Mm,
just the high school aspect. Going on beyond that with friends and everything else, a lot of the business that I've been able to cultivate has been through friends or friends of a friend, the FOFs, if you will.
right.
And then also finding new ways to interact with people I've never met before
Mm,
through networking events. I usually go to, some networking events like Chamber South or connecting with people at their, hey, at grand openings.
right.
I love those
It's like
because I want to
gateway.
support their business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody's happy usually. So it's
Everybody's
easier to
happy.
connect
Yeah.
with people.
Yeah. It's excitement. It's not like going out of business
Yeah.
sale.
Have you thought about hosting your own event?
So we've hosted some events. We typically host them for the agents themselves.
Okay.
So we'll do awards events. We'll do family days. We have one that we're planning right now
Okay.
where it's like bring everybody. Let's have some fun at a
Right.
park or something. It's a little hot right now, so we're
Okay.
gonna push it.
At a park? Like
Yeah, at
outdoors?
a park.
Okay.
Back in the when I was growing up, and my mom was in the industry, like I mentioned. We'd be out there with water balloons. I don't know if we do that nowadays, but
Right.
we'll be out there having a good time,
Okay.
and we get together as a group.
Water balloons?
Yeah.
I'm from Peru. There was every January we call it carnavales.
Yes.
We fill it up and then we just throw it at people. We kind of like bully them, but it's like a tradition in a way.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that what you're saying? We
Yeah,
just
we
throw it
wouldn't
at
bully
people.
the kids, but the kids would just be like water balloon fights and stuff
Yeah,
like
like fight
that.
like that.
Having fun, like,
Yeah.
yeah, having a
Okay.
good time. It's Miami summer, right? So it's
Right.
hot as could be. So it's a nice relief at that time.
Yeah.
So that's the
Sounds cool.
idea is, this year I think we're gonna be somewhere where there's a pool and the ability to also go inside if
Right.
anything, because
Right.
this El Nino situation, it's
Okay.
got things warm.
Awesome.
But yeah, we get to have some fun there. So we usually do a holiday event, like I said, end of the year,
Right.
and we do awards. So
Okay.
awards, recognition of the
Oh,
agents and their
nice.
accomplishments through the year.
Interesting. When that happens, let me know.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
absolutely. That'd be fun.
Okay, so how has your approach to marketing changed since you first started?
Oof. Well, when I first started, which was 16 years ago, I think social media was just not as big as it is now.
Right.
So, and a lot of the people that were on social media weren't really buying houses. It was
Right.
mostly, teenagers.
Right.
And that's changed tremendously, right?
Correct.
And Facebook, for example, has a lot of sellers that
Mhm.
are my mom's age,
Right.
right? And Instagram has a lot of buyers and sellers that are
Right.
my age. And then TikTok has potential buyers that are younger than me,
Right.
right? In the Gen Zers. So I think that there's a dynamic in social media that's changed tremendously. And on top of that, the marketing has shifted. Like at first, it was like, hey, make things that are really cleaned up and polished.
Mhm.
And it's getting back into like a little bit more raw,
Right.
authentic.
Just
And
press and
things.
record from your phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of these minor shifts in marketing
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So um, I had made some very polished videos. I've made some very raw
I've
videos.
seen it.
I have an embarrassing YouTube channel with a bunch of old videos where it was the old, oh, I didn't see you there. Kind of start
Oh, hey there. No, I gotta see that.
those. I mean, it's still up there. I didn't delete it. I guess I'm not ashamed enough.
Why not? It's part of the process.
Exactly, man. And
Evolution.
I think that's part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you're not trying something and if you're not feeling like, dang, am I doing too much? Am I doing too little?
Yeah.
If you're not questioning it and just trying and keeping it going, like you're just not looking at it really.
Right.
You're probably not doing much.
Right.
But if you're looking at it and saying, all right, maybe I got to tweak this, maybe I do this, you're very active.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that active adaptability. So same with, agents that find success. finding success in marketing is also adaptability in some ways
100%.
and consistency. So, like what I said for the same thing, right? It's
Yeah.
consistency. So, we have a young lady in our office, Francie, who is just incredible with her brand. She keeps the same colors, the same
Mm.
logos. It's very fluid throughout all her marketing pieces, digital and print. So it's something that, me as a broker, I look up to that from one of the realtors in the office. And you can see that in different aspects of the business. But in terms of marketing, that's just where it's at. That's top tier.
Awesome. Shout out to that lady.
Yeah, yeah, she's doing a great job.
For someone trying to grow their business today, how important it is to put themselves out there online.
When it comes to, I think today's world, if we're talking about real estate,
Right. Let's stick to
I'm gonna
yeah.
talk about what I know because this
Correct.
is all I can't talk about, car sales and things of
Correct.
that sort. But for real estate, I would say that it's a very important part. But it can't be the all-consuming part. What do I mean by that? I think that there's still a lot of power in interaction, human interaction
Mm-hmm.
at a
Yep.
very,
Face to
face-to-face
face,
level.
eye to eye contact.
Phone calls also
Yeah.
still work. Print marketing in a combination with all these efforts can be another touch. So what I really believe in is in a touch system.
Right.
So when I worked at AT&T and tech systems and all these major corporations, what they emphasize was you typically don't get the sale on the first contact,
Yep.
right? If you're talking about a big sale. And real estate tends to be big sales, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hundreds of thousands, sometimes
It is.
millions.
Yep.
Yeah, usually the biggest purchase in an individual's life, right? So when we're talking about that, you know, we want to get into kind of a personal
Yeah.
feeling. But sometimes the online presence gives them that credibility. So
Mm-hmm.
what you want to do is have like a 5 tool approach,
Right.
right? I'm gonna mention golf again because it's just me, it's who I am.
Of
Like
course.
a really good golfer is a 5 tool player. They can drive the ball, they can cut, they can hit a good approach shot, they can do everything, right? And I think that if you want to be a 5 tool realtor, you have to not only make the calls, be consistent, be organized, but you also have to have a presence
Right.
online
Right.
in some aspect. It helps you get those client testimonials out there so people can say, "Hey, Lino helped me
Right.
and he did a good job." And
Right.
now another client comes along or potential client and says, "Well, who knows how he works? I just
Right.
know that I'm friends with him."
Right.
Right? And then you say, "Well, Joe said, and Erica said, and Frank said, and Tiffany said," right? And you can go down the list of client reviews. And I'm not shoving that in people's faces, but it's findable,
Right.
right? And I think that that's so important for us to be able to recognize that what we show online gives people a deeper insight, and people
Mm.
tend to search.
They do.
They don't just like,
They
"Hey, I'm
do.
gonna work with you because I like you.
Yeah.
Those glasses are
Yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll sign right away."
Right.
It
A
just
hundred
doesn't work
percent.
like
It
that,
doesn't.
right? And they wanna speak with you and they wanna understand who you are, but before they even get to that point, probably looking you up.
Right.
Yeah, so that's a big one.
Right.
And I think that, when you're online and you're doing social media, you can have a lot of fun still. So I'll mention another realtor in our office, Omar Perez. He goes
Okay.
by Omarito
Oh yeah.
on Instagram. A Cuban guy, right?
Sounds cute.
Yeah, yeah. That's a very itos, the
Yep.
itos at the end, right? I'm Linito because
Right.
that's Lino also,
Okay.
right? So Omarito, what he does is he adds a lot of humor. He makes a
Mm.
lot of jokes about Miami and Hialeah. He's a Hialeah kid.
So he showed his
He
personality.
shows a lot
I
of
think that's important.
personality. It's important, right? And he has a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it cultivates a large amount of business because
Mhm.
people know that he's fun to be around. He's
Right.
a good guy.
The experience,
Still puts out the real estate, still shows you who he is
the
family
knowledge.
wise, and it just all comes together
Yeah.
and it's casual and it's
Mm.
authentic. So
Mm.
yeah, so there's ways to approach it. You can be very polished on the marketing aspect and have every
Right.
logo, brand, color correct and
Right.
consistent. And you can also have a lot of fun and include a little bit of your personality, a little bit of your life and your family, and it just can't be all work and no
Yeah,
play, right? And it's
exactly.
I don't want to get into The Shining, the movie,
Yeah,
anything
yeah,
like that, you
yeah.
know. But all work and no play. Come
Right,
on, like people want to have fun and they want to
right,
deal with a real human.
right.
If you look robotic or sound
100%.
robotic, you might be a robot.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Especially with like AI nowadays, people just like duplicate themselves, have an AI version of them making
Yeah,
the
digital twin.
and I'm like, you're not making that connection. You're losing the point. You
Yeah.
know?
I although I will say I thought about making a
Yeah.
digital twin. You got
I
200.
tried it too, but it's not for me.
It's
You
not for
know?
me, but you have 220 people asking you
Yeah.
questions. Like, if I could just input all my knowledge into, like, this
Yeah.
AI tool
Right.
and just like, "Hey, ask my digital twin before,"
Right. Right.
that would save me a lot of time
Right.
probably, but I'd rather interact with people because what ends up happening is if I can't answer the question,
Right.
because that happens.
Right.
I've been in the business over 16 years. I don't know everything,
Correct.
you know, and my mom's been in it longer than I've been alive. I'm not gonna age her and give a number, but even her, she might get stumped on something.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get an opportunity to lean on real estate attorneys and more knowledgeable people than us in some cases and learn something. And I
Mm.
love that. That's what I love about this business. I am constantly learning. I'm always learning. I don't find a moment where I'm just like, I know everything about real estate. There's nothing new to learn.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go out there and take on the world.
Right.
Right? I'm ready to take on the world,
Right.
but I also know that there's a lot to it
There's
and
more to
in
learn.
terms of real estate
Yeah.
and it's not everything is as easy as what I understand, you know, and some things are maybe more complex. Like I understand probate, like I really like probate and certain parts of the business. You know, I've grieved over, you know, family members passing, and so I understand the emotional toll,
Mm.
but I also understand the process. So I really like those kind of transactions that involve that. So, you know, there's still stuff that I need to learn in probate,
Right.
you know, and I've done several of those deals.
Right.
So it's not like, oh, I have no experience. I have plenty of
Right.
experience. It's just there's still more to do.
Right. The moment you say that I already know everything, that's when you stop, growing. That's when you stop making money, and so on.
Yeah, yeah. You got to go to Socrates, right?
Yeah.
And the more I learn, the less I know, right?
If you're the smartest person in the room, then that means
That's
you're
yeah.
in the wrong room.
I agree with that. Yep.
What opportunity do you see right now that most people are missing?
I think is what we're tackling here in this office. I think that the senior vertical is going to be the biggest part of our industry for the next 15 to 20 years
Right.
as baby boomers age into the next phase of their lives. In some cases, they're very independent people as a generation, so they're probably not going to want to go directly into assisted living or anything like that. They might want to stay at home and those kind of aspects. But I really believe that that part of the industry is going to be a very lucrative part of the industry in the long term. I'm talking about ALFs, group homes, and the ability to assist these folks as they get into a later part of their life
Right.
and the family prepares to grieve in some
Mm,
cases and it's a very sensitive part of the market.
it
You
is.
get into those probate transactions like I mentioned
Right.
earlier and you have a lot um, more emotions involved, but I think that that makes for a more rewarding experience as a realtor because if you can be a pillar of stoicism, if you will, or not really just, you know, make them feel more emotional, where you can make them feel more comfortable
Mm-hmm.
and kind of take a lot of that load off their
Right.
shoulders so that you can do the work that they want you to do, but also relieve them a lot of the work
Mm,
that they are forced to do
right.
in a situation where they might be emotional. And I think that that is going to be very lucrative over the next 15 to 20 years plus. And it's a part of our business that we're implementing at a high level here. We have an estate sales company, we have a junk removal company. We're going to be starting a placement agency to start placing seniors into ALFs and group homes depending on their needs. And then we'll be also able to invest into possible ALFs and group homes in the future. So that's the long-term plan that I have here for that vertical because of that opportunity that I see that I don't think a lot of people are really focused on. They're all saying, "Hey, baby boomers are going to pass away and all those properties are gonna go to someone else.
Right.
Yeah, we know that, but what happens when people inherit property typically? They tend to sell it
They do.
very often. So I think that that is something that people are missing, that little puzzle piece. They're just talking about, hey, there's going to be a transition of wealth. There's going to be a transfer of wealth. I
Right.
keep hearing that on social media,
Right.
right?
Right.
The biggest transfer of wealth in history is going to
Yep.
happen soon. Okay, cool. But what does that entail?
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be a lot of that going on, sure, but there's ways to make money in that.
Right.
And it's not just about the making money,
Right.
but it's also about providing a service that helps people be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation.
Mm.
And I think that's important.
Super important. That's really good. And it's very fulfilling, that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, that makes us feel good about it. Yeah, absolutely. Where we end up so we helped people for an estate sale recently,
Right.
and we're getting another meeting after this, actually soon after this recording here, and it'll involve the estate sale and the sale of the home.
Mm.
And it's funny because we do all of this, we get paid for it, and we're hugging with our
Right.
clients after. The clients
Right. Right.
get
Emotional.
hug, and it's just it's so different.
They love you.
It feels good,
Right.
and I think that that makes a major impact on
Of
me.
course.
And my approach to it, my approach has become better and better because
Mm.
the reactions I'm getting are so good that I'm
Right.
like, I feel good doing it. I want to do it more. I want to do it more often.
Right. Love it. What's a belief about money, success, or real estate that you completely disagree with?
I think that money and your financial or your how do I put this? Your ability to make money in real estate doesn't define you.
Mm.
I think that the average realtor nationally, I believe, makes about $30,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not
Not that much.
that every real estate agent is rich or
Right.
wealthy, but I think there's some agents that are doing 30, 40, $50,000 a year that are making a major impact.
Mm.
And I think if you put all of them together collectively in the industry in general, you can see that, for example, we're Hispanic, right?
Right.
You mentioned
Yes.
Peru. I come from a Cuban family. And so the Hispanic household that owns a home has 37 times the net worth of a Hispanic household that does not own a home.
Mm.
Now, what else does that come with? It comes with your children getting into higher education, staying out of trouble more often, getting better grades.
Right.
These are statistical facts
Right.
and studies. So you can go through all the benefits of home ownership. So what I think people get wrong is that realtors that are not selling millions of dollars of homes are not making a real impact. I think that's totally incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
I think collectively, the industry makes a major impact across many different aspects that lift entire communities, um, not just Hispanic communities, but every different type of community that we have here because we're in a melting pot down here in Miami
That's so true.
and we're
Facts.
blessed to be in one. You know, I can go get cocoa bread with a Jamaican patty after this, a spicy Jamaican patty, and I'm gonna love my life because, like I said, I didn't get to this way by mistake, and I love my folks here at Jamrock Cuisine, for example.
Okay.
So I would say that you have opportunities to speak to the communities all throughout Little Havana to Opalaka to Homestead, and you're going to deal with 35 different countries plus
Right.
in each one of those different pockets of our industry.
Right.
So I just love that. We have an opportunity to help raise up every one of our individual communities and those communities that surround us, and that's big. That's a big thing.
What's one piece of advice you give someone trying to build a better future for themselves?
What I would tell someone trying to build a better future for themselves in this business is to start small and be consistent. Start small. What do I mean by that? Add one thing that you're going to be doing in your daily practice every week or a couple weeks. So let's say you say, hey, I'm going to start making phone calls. Okay, great.
Right.
Don't start making phone calls and doing three other different things. You're going to get overwhelmed. You're going to quit. Start making phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
Once you got that rhythm going, it takes about 2 weeks for a human to adapt to anything for
Yep.
the most part. You do that for a couple weeks. All of a sudden, I'm used to this.
Yep. You get more confident.
I feel better every time I'm making those calls. You know what? Now I'm going to start scheduling posts every Sunday for the rest of the week
Right.
on social media. So now I'm not only making my impact on the phone, now I'm adding it to my social media.
Right.
All right, I got used to doing that now. Now I'm going to start knocking on doors in my farm area and sending a mail out.
Mm. You don't see it often, but it's important.
It's important.
It's for your own confidence as well. You know, boost your confidence.
And if you're brand new and you just take those opportunities to grow in that sense, maybe you don't get into the print marketing right away because that costs money. You haven't made money yet. Maybe you get into asking realtors, hey, can I host an open house for your listing?
Mm.
You know, oh, I'm not hosting open houses because the client doesn't let me. No worries. Okay. You have 170 different listings,
Yep.
right? Call somebody else.
Somebody will pick
We'll
up.
connect you. Drop it in the group chat, in the WhatsApp chat. Hey, I want to host an open house for one of your listings. If anybody's available, please let me know. But what I would say is if you're going to host that open house, make sure it's in a community that has turnover,
Right.
where that sales are happening,
Exactly.
and that is a property that's attractive and at a good
Exactly.
price point. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting there with cookies,
Right.
twiddling thumbs, eating all the cookies because that's what
Right.
I end up doing, and you know, it's just not going to be a successful open house.
Right.
But if you're incorporating these pieces correctly over time, what you're going to be doing is the full job of real estate.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people fall short and they don't get into all aspects of the business, which
Right.
is where we should be as realtors. And I think that's what gets us the bad rap
Mm.
because you can get a license very easily. You could be part-time in this business. It's an independent contractor business. So I
Right.
can't tell anybody how to work, when to work, how to dress, or anything like that.
Right.
Um, so sometimes people are a little lost. They join the industry, they join the business, they get with a broker that doesn't guide them, doesn't do classes,
Right.
and they end up kind of falling into the
Right.
80% of realtors that fail out in the
Right.
first 2 years.
Right. So before we conclude the podcast, because I know you have to leave, what are 3 things you would tell to your 18-year-old self today?
To my 18-year-old self, oh man, I feel like, you know, I remember in elementary school, we made like a little time capsule and I opened it and I was like, who was this kid? Right. And so now thinking back as to my 18-year-old
Yeah.
self, you know, who was that kid? You know, I would say to stay as ambitious as you are, because I was very ambitious
Good.
at that age.
Very good.
But,
The but.
but,
It's always a but.
uh, to, to lean on the people that love you
Mm.
the most, because I felt like I was trying to find my path on my own often at that age. And that's difficult, no matter what age you're at. And when I get an agent here and we sit down and I tell them to start making phone calls, the first people I tell them to call are their biggest advocates,
Mm.
the people that would, you know, sell for you. They're going to tell everybody about you because they love you, right? I think I would lean more on those people at that time. I would tell myself to lean more on those people at that time, and I would tell myself to not take a 4-year hiatus and go straight into college. I would have told
Mm.
myself to go straight into college. Um, that is a small thing. I feel like it's not a regret of mine because I still got it done. I got it accomplished. I got
Right.
my diploma at the house, right? But I think that your ability to get that done a little earlier, my ability to get it done a little earlier, would have put me in this industry a little earlier.
Right.
And I'd be talking to you with, instead of 16 years, probably 20 years of
Right.
experience, starting at 18, getting my license instead of 4 years later,
Correct.
getting it at that time as well. So I think it's 4 things, right?
Okay. Go ahead.
I would have gotten my license at 18 as well.
Okay.
Because I waited till 22.
Right.
I could have easily gotten it at 18.
Right.
Um, and maybe a bonus one, I'll say, you know, to make sure that the friends you're around are a good influence to you, and to not fall into things that everybody else is getting into.
Mm.
So luckily, I didn't get into the vapes and stuff like that. Like
Right, right,
I can imagine right now, an 18-year-old kid.
right.
There's a lot of influence to start going and getting vapes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And look, whatever vice you're into, you're into, and I'm not gonna knock a man on what he's into, and that I get it. But I think that the ability as an 18-year-old to show self-control is big. As an adult man, do whatever you want. I smoke cigars,
Right,
you know, versus vapes. Is that a difference?
right.
Absolutely not. Right. But as an 18-year-old, when your body's still developing, your
Mm,
brain is still developing,
mm,
I wouldn't want anybody to be influenced to do things that are going to hurt their development and their
mm.
body. So that would be something that I would also say, because at that time, everything was very much new and exciting, and you wanted to get into drinking at 18 and going to clubs because I had a fake ID and having all those fun times and all
Right,
that. Um, but at the same time, you don't want to grow up too fast.
right,
You want to enjoy that youth, and most of all, take care of your body.
right.
Because that's health is wealth.
Thank you so much, my friend.
Rick, thank you
Appreciate
so
it.
much. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for stopping in the office for